Okay, now let's discuss on Simple Network Management Protocol, that is SNMP, what it is and how it works. Okay, so entering into the simple network, why is the network management protocols required? That is the first question which we have in our mind. Alright, so let's say that I have sent a lot of packets to the network, but I want to know how many packets has been lost or aborted. Okay, so that is if my timeout period was so less, or do I have to change my timeout so that I can have more packets to be crossed through the network. Okay, so that is one scenario. The another scenario is like I want to know how much my server is having a load on it. That is how many requests are coming in, how many data has been processed by the server or the router or the link. Okay, so I have to decide on if the load over the node is very high, then I will have to form a new node, a new route to send the packets to the destination, right? So I have to decide a few factors. I have to consider on various factors. So I wanted to know about the load each particular node, that is sometimes it can be a switch or a router, these devices are having right now. Alright, otherwise I may have to know if any hardware failure have happened on the way, or if a software is not working accordingly. Okay, so these are a few scenarios which happens over the network, right? Like we may have to find out how many packets has been lost. We will have to find out if the router or the switch is having the capacity to handle all the messages that is coming in. How is the load handling mechanism happening over the each and every single nodes that we have? Do we have to fix on some other pathways? Do we have to create more network paths to send packets to the destinations, or or is all the hardware working fine? If any hardware is having some issues, or if all the software which has been installed over this hardware is working fine or not, these informations we have to know. Okay, so for collecting such informations we use the help of a protocol, that is the Simple Network Management Protocol. Okay, so what are the various features of it? Now SNMP is actually a request reply protocol, that is it sends a request based on two commands, that is a get and a set, and the reply will also come accordingly. So the get message is actually used to retrieve some information from a particular node. Now here the node could be any devices, any network devices. Okay, so same way I will be using the set command to set a set of informations onto a particular set of node. Alright, so it is based on the request reply protocol. Also this SNMP actually runs over UDP, which means it is a connectionless, it depends on a connectionless medium. Okay, so that is the properties of a connectionless protocol is that if you send a packet, it may reach there, it may not reach there, right? So anything could happen. It is not concerned about reliability of the packet which we are sending to them. Okay, so that is a feature of a connectionless protocol. So UDP is a connectionless protocol, so and the SNMP runs over it. Okay, it have two methods to collect informations. One is through polling, which runs over the port number 161, and the other mechanism is traps, which runs over the port number 162. We will see what the polling and traps is about, how the particular SNMP collects informations. Alright, so let's see the working of it. Now we have a system administrator who is using a UI, some graphical interface to communicate informations to the nodes. Alright, so it sends a message to the network node. Now this network node will be having an SNMP server within it. Okay, so the system admin will send a request information on the network. So he is sending some information to collect some data about the network. So the network node, this SNMP server, have a database which is actually called as our management information base. The management information base will collect will store all the informations related to this particular SNMP server. Okay, now this SNMP server sometimes is actually called as a manager, who actually is connected to various other devices, and those devices are actually called as our agents. Okay, so each agent will be supplying information about the status to the SNMP server, that is the manager, and all these informations are actually stored over a database. That database is called as a management information base, MIB. Now the network node, as it receives the request, network request informations from the user, it sends this information to the database, that is the MIB. Now MIB will have a lot of informations, so it will verify what sort of information the user is actually requesting for, and based on that information, based on that request informations, the MIB will collect the data and retrieve those data back to the SNMP server. Okay, I'm sorry. So the server will then return the information back to the user. Alright, so this is how an SNMP works. Okay, so now this the information that is transferred, the format of information that is transferred from the system admin to the SNMP server and from there to the MIB is in a dotted notation. That is we will be sending an MIB, that is a management information base identifier, which looks like an 8-digit dotted notation. So in this, the first 6 digits, 1 2 3 4 6 digits represents the MIB database, which have the informations or to which we are actually requesting the information to. Okay, the 7th digit, that is the 4, the value 4, represents an IP group. Okay, so that is, this IP group is a variable which is stored inside this MIB. So it will be, this IP group will have a lot of information related to IP, like how many packets has been processed, how many packets has been dropped. Such informations will be handled within this IP group. Now the last value, the 8th notation, that is a value 3, represents the 3rd variable within this IP group. Okay, so this is it's something like a folder. So we have a folder which is called as an MIB database. Within that folder we have 4, let's say we have 4 folders. So the 4th folder is about IP group, and within the IP group folder we have again a lot of folders. Within that, the 3rd folder represents some details regarding some details regarding the IP. Okay, so that is how it is actually extracted. So this may be the information which is passed from the system admin to the SNMP server, from the SNMP server to the MIB to extract the informations. Okay, so let's see what are the various variables within this MIB database which are stored within the MIB database. So one such information is system informations. That is, it is actually a general information about the node as a whole. Okay, it will include where the node is actually located, how long it has been up, and what is its name. Okay, so these information are stored in the system variable. Now we have another variable, that is the interface variable, which is actually collects the information about all the network interfaces attached to this particular node. So it will carry all the physical addresses of each interfaces, right? So that there's a MAC addresses of each interfaces, how many packets has been sent and received on each interfaces. Now we have another, that is the address translation, which carries like it is a mapping from IP address to the MAC address, or from the MAC address to the IP address. So those informations will be stored inside this address translation table. So it contains all the informations related to address translation table. So we have this one as the IP. This is all related to the IP, that is Internet Protocol, which includes the routing table. So which particular packet has to be sent through which particular route is monitored over this routing table. How many datagrams, how many packets has been successfully forwarded, what is the statistics about datagram reassembly. It includes counts of how many times an IP has been dropped. for one reason or the other. Okay, so all these informations are stored over this particular variable. Now we have another variable, that is TCP. It is all the about the connection information about the TCP, such as like how many passive or active connections has been open, that is how many TCP connections has been open, number of resets happened, number of timeouts happened, the default timeout setting, what is the default timeout setting, what is the value that is given for the default timeout. Okay, so then we have the UDP variable, which stores all the information related to the UDP. It includes again the number of UDP datagrams, that is the number of packets that has been sent and received through this particular node. Okay, so these are the various management information base variables which stores related informations. So now let's see about the two mechanisms to collect the information. One is polling. So now, seeing of the polling, in the case of polling, the SNMP server will initiate a message to all the devices that is connected to it. That is, the manager will initiate information to the agents. Now these are our agents. All these are our agents. Alright, so these agents will respond back with the informations which they have. Okay, so here the SNMP server initiates the message, the request. It can be in 1 second or 30 seconds or 1 minute delay durations. So based on that, SNMP will send information asking for what is the status of each and every devices, and each and every single device will respond back with their informations that in hand. Alright, so this works over the port number 161. Okay, so this is polling. Now in the case of traps, if some trigger happens, if some database is not able to store much information, or if some firewall issues have happened, or if the router is not having a higher load, so it is not able to manage the loads, or in the case of a switch, the same scenario, if some events, that is some trigger happens, these devices will communicate to the SNMP server, okay, and through the port number 162. So this is what we call as a trap. So in the case of poll, the SNMP server initiated the communication for collecting the information, but in the case of traps, here each device, if it have some issues, or if it have some trigger happens, based on the trigger it will respond to the SNMP server. Okay, so this is all about SNMP.